Part 75. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 741. As soon as this idea came to mind, Duanlei shook his head and threw it away. Duanlei knew that this kind of thought could never stay in his heart. Because as a leader, once there is suspicion in the heart about the people around him, this suspicion will become bigger and bigger. This is the most fatal for any force. 1,000-mile embankment was destroyed by an ant nest. Once he thinks there is a traitor around him, he will look at everyone else as a traitor. Once a leader has such suspicion, the people around him will also become frightened and suspicious of each other. Duanlei took a deep breath and ignored the matter, leaving it to Wang Feng. Okay. Then let's get ready to go. After Duanlei put this matter aside, he directly said to everyone, "Hope, let's go back." Although the hope can be taken away by the Yanhuang, they will definitely need to travel through space this time to go to their home planet. Although the Hope is a small space battleship, it also has the ability to travel through space. However, Duanlei is not very sure about this yet. And when traveling through space, the Yanhuang must not be able to carry him with him. So they need to return to the Hope first to get more familiar with their driving skills and cooperation with each other. No need to wait, Third Master, the instructor has died. There is no point in staying here. After everyone on the Hope returned, Wang Feng decided to return to his own planet first. Because they are about to sail away, they need to be fully prepared. Moreover, after leaving this time, they will probably never be able to see the planet where they were born again. Although it is only a colonial star, for Wang Feng and his generation, this is their home planet. Moreover, Wang Feng also needs to give Duanlei and the others some time to contact the driver of the Hope. Traveling through space is no joke. Once it fails, it may cause space to collapse. Then, the entire battleship will be squeezed by space in an instant and destroyed. After confirming, the Yanhuang and the Hope began to fly towards their planet. On the way, Wang Feng and the others were not in a hurry. The Yanhuang is still driven by Wang Feng alone. Because of the operating system, it is of little significance for others to be familiar with the manual driving of the Yanhuang. Even if 100,000 people control Yanhuang at the same time, the effect will not be as flexible as Wang Feng alone. So now the Yanhuang is Wang Feng's special warship, and he himself is both the captain and the pilot. Even the small fighters in the Yanhuang are just decorations now, and no one can pilot them at all. The number of small fighters on the Hope has dropped sharply from more than 2 million to more than 800,000. And after the loss of these fighter planes, they have no place to replenish them. After all, this is the battleship of the Space Ghost, and now Xianyuan has fallen. But it just so happens that only the warships and fighter planes of this kind of cosmic ghost can be freely controlled by humans. This further strengthened Wang Feng's belief in going to the original star. Dong Huangtai is right. To destroy the Universe Ghost Clan, with their current strength, it is simply impossible. At the end of the battle, only Wang Feng's Yanhuang will definitely be able to fight, and the Hope will definitely withdraw early. The reason is simple: they don't even know how to repair battleships, not to mention they don't have parts for the Space Ghost battleship. If any system is damaged, they can only stare blankly. Therefore, now Wang Feng is waiting for Duanlei and the others to become completely familiar with the Hope, and after being able to travel through space, they can head towards the home star together. Since the Hope was in the midst of practice driving, it was originally able to reach their planet within a month. As a result, it took them more than 3 months to finally see their planet. Looking at the somewhat familiar planet, Wang Feng and the others couldn't help but feel a little excited, especially everyone on the Hope. If Wang Feng hadn't woken up in time this time, they wouldn't have been able to come back. The reason why it is somewhat familiar is because these guys have never observed their own planet from this angle in outer space. Damn it! I never thought I could see this planet again. Tang Haoshan shouted loudly. Haha. I thought I would never come back. Guiwivio said loudly. Is this the planet you are on? Dong Huangtai asked with some disdain. It seems quite barren. No matter how rich you are, you must be able to keep it. Wang Feng said angrily, because Wang Feng had already booked the trip, so Wang Feng had already unblocked Dong Huangtai's consciousness. Although I don't like him very much, I can't keep him in that little dark room forever. After all, this is a powerful person from the ancient times of the human race. He has lived for who knows how long. Basic respect is still needed. But when it comes to speaking, Wang Feng is not so polite. Because along the way, Wang Feng kept asking Dong Huangtai many questions, but basically he didn't get an accurate and detailed answer. On the contrary, Dong Huangtai asked Wang Feng a lot about him and the people around him, as well as the Hope Base and their planet. So, in the end, Wang Feng honestly told all the situations on his side, but he didn't get what he wanted to know. Wang Feng was in a bad mood now. He felt that Dong Huangtai was just an old fox. Damn it! Don't chat with him in the future. Fortunately, this guy only has consciousness. If I were here, I would probably be sold out by him without knowing it. Wang Feng thought to himself, and he was eager to move the old guy Dong Huangtai to Duanlei. The old fox and the little fox are a perfect match. Using the old guy Dong Huangtai to plot against Wang Feng is like killing a chicken with a butcher knife. Madman. Duanlei's voice came from the communicator. You go back to the planet first, we will stay in space for a while. Duanlei and his team still don't have 100% confidence in passing the space overlap, so they decided to stay in space for a while. Although they can practice on the planet, it is still more appropriate to practice in space after all, as a space battleship. All the current members of the Hope have positions on the Hope, and all of them are combat members. They unanimously decided that they would never enter the planet before they were absolutely sure to pass the space overlap. There were a large number of women, children, and elderly people on the Hope driven by Wang Feng, and these people were non-combatants. If you stay in the space battleship all the time, you may feel a little fresh at first, but if you stay in it for a long time, you will inevitably feel bored. Although the size of the space battleship is quite large, the living area where these people live can be considered very spacious. But after all, it is in a closed space, and to be honest, the scenery in space is basically the same. It's okay to watch for a few months, but if you watch for a long time, you will get visual fatigue and slowly feel bored. So Duanlei suggested that Wang Feng enter the planet first and let them continue to practice here. Even if it is on the planet, Wang Feng is no different from being in outer space. If there is a space ghost battleship attacking, Wang Feng's Yanhuang can know at least 1 week in advance. So they were not afraid of sneak attacks at all, but Wang Feng still felt a little uncertain. Space is space after all, and there are too many unknown things for them. Lazy eye. You stay outside by yourself, be careful of the fleet of space ghosts. Wang Feng frowned and said. Don't worry. Duanlei replied easily. Even if we are not sure about passing through the space overlap now, as for the battle, we have no problem. Besides, even if we are defeated, at least we can hold on for a while and wait for you to rescue us. You should go in quickly. Let those non-combatants go to the ground to get some fresh air. By the way, get more food and so on. It takes a long time to get to the mother planet. The food made by the battleship is really too bad. Although the Hope lost more than 1 million small fighters and more than 2 million fighter pilots in the last battle with Rikaza's space fleet. But this loss was not in vain. On the way back, the remaining fighter pilots basically didn't stay on the Hope. They were all driving small fighter planes, constantly practicing flying skills around the Hope. After experiencing that war, these soldiers finally knew the cruelty of war in space. In this kind of war, there is basically no word for wounded. As long as the fighter plane you are driving is hit, you are basically dead. Moreover, these soldiers have gradually become accustomed to the three-dimensional battlefield. The most powerful thing is that they have now moved the three-person team tactics that the earliest guards often used on the ground to space. However, the original three-person team has now become 6 fighter planes, and 3 people have become 12 people. After this period of practice, the effect at least looks good. However, before experiencing actual combat, no one dares to guarantee that this method is really effective. If Xian Yuan is still alive, he can see the pros and cons of this tactic at a glance. After all, Xian Yuan has rich experience in air combat, and now Wang Feng and his team have no experience in this area. Seeing Duan Lei's insistence, Wang Feng shook his head helplessly, then drove the Yanhuang directly into his own planet and flew towards the Hope base. Wang Feng didn't know that in the nearly 1 year since they left, their Hope base had already. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 742. Leaving Duan Lei and Hope stranded in space, Wang Feng drove Hope into the planet. However, just after Wang Feng entered the planet, he was about to fly to Dongzhou continent and return to Hope base. A small spaceship suddenly flew towards him, and the lights on the bow kept flashing. Wang Feng was stunned. The one in front of him was just a small spaceship. Even if there was any attack power, it was quite limited. Although his Yanhuang did not raise the energy shield at this time, it was definitely not something that such a small spaceship could hurt. So Wang Feng did not launch an attack aircraft on the small spaceship, but wanted to know where the small spaceship came from. From the appearance, this small spaceship did not come from the Space Ghost clan. Besides, if it was the Space Ghost clan, and there were already warships invading their planet, then what came to greet him at this moment should not be just such a small spaceship. It should be several huge space battleships and countless attacks. Seeing this small spaceship, Wang Feng was also scared and sweated. He was still careless. If the warships of the Space Ghost have occupied their planet and are lying in ambush here, then this time he is in danger. The warships of the Space Ghost are inside the planet, and there is interference from the atmosphere, so Wang Feng cannot detect them through the monitor before entering the planet. And because the atmosphere only blocks the radiation and harmful substances invading from outside the planet, it does not have this function inside, so the Space Ghost warships inside can easily detect his arrival. If an ambush is set up and the Yanhuang just passes through the atmosphere, the attack will be launched, and the Yanhuang will be miserable. But now Wang Feng took a look and found that there is indeed a warship on their planet, but judging from the direction, this warship is staying in the South continent at this time. And this warship only sent a small spaceship to contact first, so it seems that it should not be an enemy. At this time, Wang Feng has almost confirmed the identity of this warship. It is not a human race, and it has no hostility to him. It should only be the Kali tribe that killed the 3 children. Although Wang Feng now knows that the names of the 3 children should not be Wang Sha, Wang Lu, and Wang Mi. However, Wang Feng is still used to calling them that and has no intention of changing it. The 3 children, Sha, Lu, and Mi, don't care about this at all. When Duan Lei and his friends left, the 3 children did not leave with them because their people were still near this planet. Now the 3 children already know that this planet is no longer safe because its coordinates have been mastered by the cosmic ghost. If the 3 of them leave with Duan Lei and his friends, when their people return here, they will find that the enemies are gone. Maybe they will directly choose a continent to live here. In that case, when the cosmic ghost arrives, it will be the end of their entire tribe. So the 3 children decided to stay and wait for their people. They did not ask Duan Lei to take the 3 of them to find their people's warships first. Because they didn't know where their leader had driven the warships. Without coordinates, it is more difficult to find a warship in this vast universe than to find a needle in a haystack, at least no matter how big the sea is, there is always an end. Doomsday did not interfere with the decision of the three children. He also knew that the three children could not let go of their people. Doomsday had naturally told Wang Feng about these things, so Wang Feng now thought that this spaceship must be the spaceship of the Kali tribe. Wang Feng was right. This was indeed the spaceship of the Kali tribe. In fact, Wang Feng had personally boarded this small spaceship. It was this spaceship that sent him back to the planet after being teleported to the Kali warship when he intercepted Changfang's missile last time. At this time, the three children of Shalumi were all in this small spaceship. They were flashing lights and slowly approaching the Yanhuang. However, although their flashing lights were a way to transmit information, Wang Feng had no idea what it meant. Fortunately, Wang Feng knew that the Kali tribe should have no ill will towards him. Although this race was the culprit that launched the world-destroying Sci-Fi and caused the death of a large number of humans. But after experiencing so many things, Wang Feng no longer has any resentment towards the Kali tribe. He now understands that although the Kali tribe killed a large number of humans with their own hands at that time, but their action did save humanity. If it weren't for them, the Devourers would always find their planet. At that time, I'm afraid that humans would have no resistance and would be directly extinct. Moreover, after the arrival of the Devourers, they will also launch biochemical attacks to turn humans into zombies. So the end of the world will still come. Of course, the attack launched by the Devourers may be just like the second upheaval, when the fog came. Compared with the world-destroying Skyfire of the Kali tribe, this one seems to be a little gentler. But the price is that after the humans have experienced the end of the world, those who have not been transformed by the virus will have no time to strengthen themselves and will be used as food by the Devourers who come later. Either get bitten by zombies and then be eaten by the Devourer, or be eaten directly as a human. These were the two paths humans could choose at that time. Therefore, since Wang Feng and the others are still alive now, the Kali tribe should actually be the main contributor. However, Wang Feng had no intention of thanking them, because after all, they had caused the death of a large number of his own kind. Moreover, the starting point of everything they did was for the Kali tribe themselves, not for human beings. So now Wang Feng can be said to be neutral towards the Kali tribe. As long as they no longer provoke him, he will not do anything to them. Seeing the small spacecraft approaching, Wang Feng directly opened an entrance in the belly of the Yanhuang. Seeing this, the three little ones in the small spaceship quickly drove the spacecraft and entered the Yanhuang. Because he discovered the Kali tribe's spaceship, Wang Feng did not continue to move the Yanhuang, but stopped in mid-air. When the Kali tribe's small spaceship entered the Yanhuang, Sang Xiao opened the spacecraft and jumped out. Then, under the guidance of two soldiers, he came to the control hall. Brother Feng. The third primary school still seems to have not changed much at this time. Wang Sha and Wang Lu are still silent, and Wang Mi is the spokesperson. Wang Feng nodded. He felt that Wang Mi seemed to treat him the same as before, so he smiled and asked. Your tribe is here? Yes. They are here, but we are not at Hope Base, but temporarily living in Nanzhou continent, waiting for you to come back. Wang Mi said. Huh? Wait until I come back. Wang Feng was stunned. Yes. Our leader wants to see you. Originally, he wanted to come in person, but he was afraid that you would misunderstand, so he asked the three of us to fly a small spaceship to question you first. Wang Mi explained. Wang Feng nodded. The leader of the Kali tribe deserves to be a leader, and he is thoughtful. If he directly drove their battleship to greet Wang Feng here, he would be sincere and very respectful. But at that time, after Wang Feng passed through the atmosphere, he suddenly saw a space battleship that he had never seen before appearing in front of him. I am afraid. Wang Feng's first reaction to this sincerity and respect was to hit him with a naval gun. But, you are just waiting for me here? Aren't you afraid that I won't come back? We are going to fight the ghosts of the universe. Wang Feng looked at Wang Mi and asked. They can't kill you. Wang Mi said without hesitation. Looking at Wang Mi's firm eyes, Wang Feng couldn't help but laugh. At this time, he seemed to have seen the first time he met Shami third elementary school. Haha. Unexpectedly, I am quite strong in your mind, huh? Your leader is in Nanzhou continent, right? Then I will go to Nanzhou continent first and meet that old man again. Wang Feng had met the leader twice before, once after he was rescued, and the other time at the time of the second drastic change in Hope Base. Speaking of which, this leader of the Kali tribe gave Wang Feng a lot of warning and even saved Wang Feng. Now he wants to see Wang Feng, and Wang Feng has to go see him no matter what. Moreover, Wang Feng had already guessed some of the reasons why the leader of the Kali tribe wanted to see Wang Feng. At least one thing is energy. Wang Feng knew that the Kali warship was running out of energy, especially after launching a light transmission to save himself. To be honest, Wang Feng is very interested in the Kali tribe's light transmission technology. If the human race can master this technology, it should be able to play a great role in the future journey to the home star or even the original star. Therefore, of course Wang Feng has to meet the leader of the Kali tribe. Energy, this is what Wang Feng is not lacking now. Now that he had decided to request it, Wang Feng stopped talking and drove the Yanhuang directly towards the Nanzhou continent. He already knew the location of the Kali warship, so he naturally did not need the three little guides. The third child looked intently at Wang Feng, whose hair was flying up and down, and his eyes seemed to be filled with memories. In the planet, the speed of the space battleship was quite fast. After a while, Nanzhou continent appeared in Wang Feng's sight. At this time, the Kali clan's warship was floating quietly in mid-air, without any reaction to the arrival of the Yanhuang. On the ground below the Kali battleship, several people wearing helmets were standing there, and the old man Wang Feng had seen before was standing in front of them, raising his head and looking at the Yanhuang with a smile. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 743. Wang Feng slowly hovered the Yanhuang next to the Kali warship, and then lowered the Yanhuang's lift. Only Wang Feng could drive the Yanhuang, so Wang Feng did not dare to get off the Yanhuang. Once he got off, the Kali warship attacked the Yanhuang, and the Yanhuang would be destroyed. Although Wang Feng believed that the Kali tribe had no hostility towards him. But now the Yanhuang is the hope of the future of mankind, Wang Feng has to be careful. He can now command his hair at will, so only the Yanhuang can allow him to truly exert his strength. With the hope, he may not be as skilled as Duan Lei. Just like a top motorcyclist, in a competition, if you give him a bicycle, can he get first place? The leader of the Kali tribe did not say anything about the actions of the Yanhuang. He knew that Wang Feng was very respectful to be able to do this. At least, Wang Feng did not raise the shield when he approached. The leader took the four people behind him and walked onto the lift platform, while the others continued to wait on the ground. Haha. Little guy. Your growth has really exceeded my expectations. The leader of the Kali tribe looked at Wang Feng and said with emotion. We came here to rely on you to help us take revenge and destroy the Devourer tribe. In fact, we didn't have much hope at the beginning, but because of energy, we no longer have the ability to find a more suitable planet. Really? Wang Feng looked at the leader of the Kali tribe and said. Then, you can rest assured now. The Devourer tribe has been completely destroyed. Now, in the entire universe, the Devourer tribe has only this one left next to me. Wang Feng was talking about number 7. The leader of the Kali tribe looked at number 7. As the leader of the Kali tribe who had fought with the Devourer for a long time, He could of course see the identity of number 7. "Thank you, little guy." The leader of the Kali tribe looked at Wang Feng and solemnly used a Kali etiquette to Wang Feng. Following the action of the leader of the Kali tribe, other Kali people, including the 3 children standing next to Wang Feng, also bowed deeply to Wang Feng. "I won't thank you." Wang Feng looked at the leader of the Kali tribe and said lightly, "Although you saved me, you also brought disaster to our human race. Regardless of the motives and results, at least, so many humans died in your hands. All I can do is not to regard you as an enemy, but, I can't regard you as a friend." "I understand." The leader of the Kali tribe smiled bitterly. "I am satisfied that you can do this. If it were me, I might not even be able to do this. This time, I want to ask you for something. Whether you agree or not, I won't blame you. At most, we will stay on this continent and wait for the arrival of the cosmic ghost. Energy, I can give it to you." Wang Feng spoke directly without waiting for the leader of the Kali tribe to speak. The leader of the Kali tribe looked at Wang Feng with a look of surprise. It is not surprising that Wang Feng could guess that what he wanted was energy. After all, Wang Feng knew that they lacked energy, and now, the threat of the devourer had been completely eliminated. This planet was originally their goal, and they wanted to continue the heritage of the Kali tribe here, but now it is obviously impossible. The coordinates of this planet have been known by the cosmic ghost. This is a race that is more terrifying than the devourer, so they naturally cannot stay here. And they just said that due to energy, they can no longer look for other planets, so, of course, what they lack most now is the energy needed for warships. However, the leader of the Kali tribe did not expect that Wang Feng would agree to him so readily. Didn't Wang Feng just say that he would not treat them as friends? "I will give you energy, at least, I can guarantee that your warships can be used for 50 years without experiencing a large-scale war. I think 50 years, should be about right." "Enough. Enough." The leader of the Kali tribe nodded quickly. "In fact, if they just find the next planet suitable for their survival, 10 years is enough, but after all, this planet has been discovered by the cosmic ghost. So they have to stay away from this planet as much as possible. They can't just find the traces of the cosmic ghost and flee again when they have just established their foothold on a planet, right? Besides, Wang Feng is willing to give him energy for 50 years, so why should he push it outward? As for not encountering a large-scale war, this is of course. They only have one space battleship now. Once a large-scale war breaks out, it is estimated that there will be no battleship left. What is the use of energy? Okay. Then I will go to your battleship immediately and transport the energy to your battleship." Wang Feng nodded and said. "In addition, I am a little interested in your light transmission technology. I wonder if you can give us a copy of the information of this technology." The leader of the Kali tribe was stunned, and then bowed his head to think. Seeing the hesitation of the leader of the Kali tribe, Wang Feng also frowned. Not only the 3 children, but also the 4 helmeted people behind the leader of the Kali tribe felt that their leader was a bit too much. They have promised to give you enough energy for 50 years, which is a great favor to the Kali tribe now. After all, if Wang Feng doesn't give it, with their current strength, they are definitely not a threat. Without energy, they can only stay on this planet and hope that the cosmic ghost will not come. That feeling, whether the cosmic ghost will come in the end or not, is a torment for them. Besides, whether they can meet again after the separation, even if they meet again, humans should not become enemies with the Kali tribe. The Kali tribe itself is a peaceful race, and there is only one planet. Although the technology is quite advanced, it has never launched an invasion war against any planet with life. In this case, why do you still treasure the light transmission technology and not give it to them? Looking at Wang Feng and the 2 people in the yellow and blue helmet, they are full of emotion. When they first arrived on this planet, Wang Feng was still an ant-like figure that could be destroyed with a wave of their hands in their eyes. Even the turtle they left for him after they injured him severely made Wang Feng very embarrassed. I didn't expect that after only 1 or 2 years, the other party had reached this point. The yellow and blue helmets could feel the energy fluctuations emanating from Wang Feng. Now, the two of them were probably just ants that Wang Feng could kill with a wave of his hand. Obviously, given their current situation, angering Wang Feng was definitely not a wise choice. However, whether it was the 4 people wearing helmets or the 3 little killers, they just waited silently and did not speak to persuade their leader. After a short silence, the leader of the Kali tribe finally sighed, then looked at Wang Feng and said, "That light transmission is actually useless to us now, because every time it is activated, it requires a lot of energy. When we activated it on you once, it consumed all our energy reserves at the time. So, not only the information on the light transmission technology, I will also give you the light transmission equipment on our Fuxing train." Ah! Except for the leader of the Kali tribe, everyone else, whether human or Kali, was shocked after hearing what the leader of the Kali tribe said. It turned out that the reason why the leader of the Kali tribe hesitated was not because he was considering the technical information, but because he was considering the entire set of equipment for light transmission. "Don't worry. I will ask people to completely dismantle the optical transmission equipment, and then let them help you install it on your warship. You can find a few people to be the operators of the optical transmission device in the future, and let my people teach them how to use it. You still don't have to thank me this time, because our optical transmission technology is already quite mature, and even I, a leader who does nothing, can operate it skillfully. If we can find a planet suitable for our survival and develop again, it will not be difficult for us to make another optical transmission device. And you, after you have the optical transmission device, it will be very beneficial for you to quickly master the optical transmission technology. But I have another request." At this point, the leader of the Kali tribe looked at Wang Feng and said, "I hope you can agree to me. You tell me what your request is first, and then I can decide whether to agree or not." Wang Feng did not promise directly, but asked the leader of the Kali tribe what his request was. Hearing Wang Feng's words, the leader of the Kali tribe laughed instead. They have done a deep study of humans, and have a thorough understanding of their personalities and living habits. If Wang Feng agreed without thinking, although he knew that Wang Feng seemed to be a man who kept his promises. But if he rashly agreed without knowing what the request was, he probably wouldn't have much sense of responsibility in his heart. "We, the Kali tribe, our own planet was destroyed, and after coming here, it was also directly caused by your planet." The leader of the Kali tribe did not directly answer his request, but first talked about the Kali tribe. "For you humans, we are executioners, but for me, I don't think I have done anything wrong, I just want to continue my race. My request is also related to this, that is." The leader of the Kali tribe pointed with his hand. "Please take them with you, and take care of them, they are the real hope of our Kali tribe." Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 744. Wang Feng followed the Kali leader's gaze and saw that the person he pointed at was the 3 little ones who were killed. "They." Wang Feng frowned. "It's no problem for the 3 of them to continue to follow me. You don't ask for it? As long as the 3 of them are willing, I won't drive them away. And I will treat the 3 of them as my people. You don't need to waste a request for this." At this point, Wang Feng looked at the leader of the Kali tribe. "But, there is one thing I need to make clear to you in advance. We will go to at least 2 more planets next. There is nothing on the first planet. If the 3 of them think that the planet is suitable, they can stay there. That planet, because that is the home planet of our human race. And, I also hope that the 3 of them will stay on the home planet of our human race. Because the place we are going to next is very dangerous, I may not be able to protect myself, let alone protect them. You are going to. The leader of the Kali tribe looked at Wang Feng in confusion, then his face changed drastically, pointing at Wang Feng and asked. You are going to, the original star. Ah! Wang Feng and others were shocked. They didn't expect that the leader of the Kali tribe actually knew the original star. And looking at the reactions of Sang Xiao and other Kali tribe members, it seemed that they didn't know what the original star was, and they all looked at their leader. You also know the original star. Wang Feng's eyes lit up, yes. The Kali tribe is also an intelligent creature. Didn't Dong Huang Tai say that the original star is the birthplace of all intelligent creatures? The Kali tribe has such advanced technology, and its members are not bad, so it is not surprising that the Kali tribe knows about the original star. However, the original star seems to be kept as a secret among the Kali tribe, because at least, looking at the situation at the scene, it is obvious that only the Kali tribe leader knows about the original star. I know. The Kali tribe leader nodded and said. The original star. The origin of the universe, the first planet that appeared in this world, and even the universe appeared after it. We, the intelligent creatures, no matter what race we are, were born there. As for the original star, I have never seen it. What I know is all passed down by our race. Tell me about it. Wang Feng was overjoyed. Dong Huang Tai, the dead old man, had a sealed mouth and said nothing. Now he met another person who knew something about the original star, and Wang Feng would certainly not let him go. To be honest, in Wang Feng's heart, understanding the original star is even more important than getting the light transmission equipment. As a soldier, Wang Feng certainly knows the importance of intelligence. Before the end of the world, when they acted, they would first conduct reconnaissance and understand the situation of the destination before launching the action. If you don't know the terrain, don't know the enemy, and don't conduct reconnaissance in advance, and just rush into it, it's no different from seeking death. This is why, among all the troops before the end of the world, no matter which country, the reconnaissance troops are the most elite. Even the special forces are selected from the scouts. Intelligence is often the key to victory or defeat in a war. Therefore, understanding the situation of the original star is the most important thing for Wang Feng now. Okay. I'll tell you what I know. Anyway, I have no hope of going to the primordial star in this lifetime. The leader of the Kali tribe sighed, then raised his head slightly, as if recalling something, and said slowly. According to the records of our Kali tribe, the planet we live on is not the place where the Kali tribe was born. The Kali tribe was born on the primordial star, but later most of the tribe members left there and finally came to the planet where we originally lived. When we encountered the cosmic ghost, we didn't know how many generations we had reproduced on that planet. So, they didn't know about the primordial star. Only the high-level members of our tribe knew about the information of the primordial star. It is said that the primordial star is a place of war, because almost all races were born on the primordial star. So although the primordial star is huge, due to the different races, with continuous development, the territory is not enough. In fact, all creatures in this world have a warlike character, for territory, for spouses, for food, to survive. To survive better. Even if we, the Kali tribe, think we are a very peaceful race and never invade other creatures' planets, but we also have various struggles within us. In particular, in order to continue our own race, we also launched the world-destroying Sci-Fi on your planet. Alas. You are right, no matter what our purpose is, it is an attack we launched on you. So. You should be able to imagine the chaos on the original star. It is also because of this chaos that most intelligent races are forced to leave the original star and enter the vast universe to find planets suitable for their survival and open up new homes. However, there is a legend among the primordial stars, That is, no matter which race leaves the primordial stars, they cannot all leave. Every race needs to leave a small number of its own people in the original star. Because if that race completely disappears in the original star, then no matter how well that race develops outside, it will eventually decline and become extinct. So, those races that are forced to leave usually leave a small number of their own people behind, so that they can give up large areas of territory to the races that force them to leave. And these people left behind by their own race will not be attacked by other races, because if they all die, the tribes they left will gradually die. The protection of these people is an unwritten rule on the original star. Because, only in this way can those races that feel unable to compete automatically give up their territory on the original star and leave the original star. If all their hopes are extinguished, then no race will leave voluntarily. They will definitely fight to the death. In this way, the casualties in the war will naturally increase a lot. That's why Primordial Star has such a rule. And in this way, more weaker races will voluntarily give up their own territory when encountering invasion, and transfer a large part of their tribesmen to wander in the universe, looking for a new home. So, the leader of the Kali tribe smiled bitterly. Whether it's your human race, our Kali race, or even the ghost race, they are all weak in the original star. However, since you are going to the primordial star, then go ahead. Our Kali tribe also has tribesmen there. It seems safer for the three of them to return there. This can also let our Kali tribe know our situation outside. We won't wait until all the Kali tribe outside are extinct and they won't know. When he said this, the leader of the Kali tribe looked bitter. Call. Wang Feng let out a long breath. The human race and the Kali race may be weak among the original stars, but the ghost race is definitely not. Dong Huangtai said that they left the original star to pursue the murderous people. However, according to what the leader of the Kali tribe said, this primitive star should not be called the primitive star, but the star of chaos. But in this case, questions arise. Since the human race is a weak race on the original star, it was even forced to leave the original star, leaving only a small number of tribesmen to ensure the inheritance of the human race. Then why did Dong Huangtai, a dead old man, ask himself to go to the primordial star? Moreover, it is impossible for Dong Huangtai not to know about the situation mentioned by the leader of the Kali tribe. Why did Dong Huangtai refuse to tell him? Is it because he is afraid that after talking about it, he will feel that primal star is too dangerous and will be too scared to go? Now Pan Hung has only one question in Wang Feng's mind. What is the purpose of Dong Huangtai returning to the original star? Even Wang Feng awakened the power of hair and completely integrated the Xianyuan sword. It is impossible for him to return to the original star alone, hold the Xianyuan sword, and kill everyone. Like an unparalleled hero, stepping on the seven-color auspicious clouds and wearing thousands of rays of light, he came to marry, no, he came to take the lives of his enemies. But Wang Feng knew that there was no need to ask Dong Huangtai about this. It would be useless to ask him. Apart from collecting some words, it would have no effect. The leader of the Kali tribe stopped talking at this time. He has already said everything he knows about the original star. Okay. Thank you. We are going to the primordial star. Since you decided to let Sang Xiao go to the primordial star, I will also take them there. Wang Feng looked at the leader of the Kali tribe and nodded and said. After entering the original star, I cannot guarantee their absolute safety, but I will try my best to protect them. This is the biggest promise I can give you. Enough. The leader of the Kali tribe looked at the three children. You'd better find the Kali clan members. It is said that after returning to the original star, you will be able to sense the direction of your clan members. And you, go back quickly and tell them to remove the light transmitter, and then bring someone over to install it on this battleship. The leader of the Kali tribe turned back to the four helmeted guys behind him and said. After finishing speaking, he was stunned for a moment, as if he suddenly remembered something, and turned to Wang Feng and asked. "That's right. Should we install it now, or should we wait for you to solve the troubles in your hope base before installing it? That hope base of yours has now changed hands." Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 745. Change of Ownership. Wang Feng frowned, and then looked at the leader of the Kali tribe. Hearing this, the four guys in helmets who were about to go out also stopped to see what Wang Feng would choose. The leader of the Kali tribe nodded and said, "You have been gone for a long time. When you just left, Killing and the others still stayed in the clear water garden of your hope base. However, because the three of them look like children, no one pays attention to them, and they naturally will not actively participate in the management of the hope base. But after you leave for 2 months, I hope the remaining people in the base will think you are dead." Before, they all hid in the underground shelter you dug earlier in fear, thinking that the cosmic ghost might be coming soon. At that time, we arrived. However, we did not plan to live in the hope base. We just picked up the three of them and left Dongzhou continent. After we left, those humans who stayed at hope base probably thought they were safe, so they returned to the ground again. Furthermore, they all think that you have perished together with the fleet of the space ghost. For this, they even celebrated. Subsequently, they elected a new leadership team for the Hope Base and changed the name of the Hope Base to Tiandu Base. Of course, this process was not very smooth, and many people died. Because it is an internal matter within your human race, we did not take action, we just observed from the side. When the leader of the Kali tribe said this, he looked at Wang Feng with a little embarrassment. "Because you were not here, I monitored the Hope Base because I didn't know how you would return to this planet." Wang Feng nodded and said that he didn't care. He also knew that it couldn't be easier for a space battleship to monitor the interior of a planet. After that, the newly established Tiandu base also knocked down the military soul monument you erected. I heard them seem to be saying, "It's just these idiots. It doesn't matter if they die, they still make us unable to go to the battleship. Tear it down and let them commemorate your paralysis." Hearing this, Wang Feng and everyone around him were furious. However, Wang Feng did not set off immediately. He still suppressed the anger in his heart and waited for the next step. The leader of the Kali tribe obviously hasn't finished speaking yet. Wang Feng is ready to listen to all the heroic deeds of those people and then settle the accounts together. At least, those rubbish who pushed down the military soul monument and smashed it have already been sentenced to death in Wang Feng's heart. This kind of scum must not be left behind. He did not come to mourn, but in the end he attributed the reason why he could not board the battleship to the military soul monument. Such people are wasting food while living. In their hearts, they are always right. No matter what mistakes they make, they can find excuses to blame them on other people or things. However, after they smashed the military soul monument, within a week, another group of people came, about several million in total. Although these people are also human beings, their appearance is different from yours, but their strength is quite strong. After arriving, they were quite polite before. They said they were looking for you and that they were your friends. However, the people left in your base directly told them that you were dead. If they want to find you, they can just commit suicide and go to hell to find you. He. Having said this, the leader of the Kali tribe couldn't help but smile and shake his head. To be honest, these people you left behind are really stupid. They didn't look at the strength of others and just took a hostile attitude. I think it should be because these outsiders claim to be your friends. And the people in your base obviously have a lot of resentment towards you for not taking them with you. Plus, they really think you are dead. And they have just occupied your gathering place, and their confidence is growing infinitely. Of course the new people didn't believe it when they heard that you were dead. They wanted to go in and look for you, but they wouldn't let you go. So, there was a conflict between the two parties. And the ending will naturally end with the victory of the new group. They are all fourth-level creatures, which is what you call awakened ones. Among the people left in your base, one of them is awakened. None can be found. After some people were killed, the people on your side became afraid and surrendered one after another. They knew they couldn't run away. After that, those new arrivals, after searching the Hope base, found that you were really not there, so they turned the Hope base into their own territory. It's just that they changed the Hope base back to its original name, and now it's still called the Hope base. After they occupied the Hope base, those who were left behind were in a miserable state. They are treated as, well, in your human terms, they should be called slaves, right? In short, now those guys, under the supervision of the new people, work non-stop every day for 2 days in a row. They can rest for 4 hours and then continue working. Because they work long hours and all the people are used to grow crops. So, now all the areas within your desired base are farms. There are probably only so many changes in the Hope base, because from the beginning to the end, it has been your own struggle as a human race. I don't know what you mean, so I have never intervened. As for how to deal with it now, I think, you should already have your own plan, right? Thank you. Wang Fen nodded and said. This is an internal matter within our human race. I will solve it. However, I can't use the battleship, so I'll just stay here. Then, Wang Fen returned to the console, his hair flying. After operating for a few seconds, he called Lu Qiang and Meng Fei over. Lu Qiang is not a combatant. As for Meng Fei, with him assisting Lu Qiang will be able to relax a lot. Together with Lu Wanting, Inovic and Augustin, these 5 people formed the temporary leadership team on the Yanhuang. Although Shen Yishan is good at management, of course she and Niu Niu must stay on the Hope. As for Inovic and Augustin, their people are all on the Yanhuang. Although these guys are a fighting nation, they are currently experiencing air battles and do not use their strength at all. Therefore, they have been classified as non-combatants for the time being, and of course it is most appropriate for these people to be managed by Inovic and Augustin. Although they surrendered to Wang Feng, in the eyes of these barbaric fighting people, they only obeyed Wang Feng. If Lu Qiang and others are allowed to manage them, it is inevitable that these guys will have a grudge in their hearts. Besides, Wang Feng had no intention of always taking these guys with him, but now they have turned to him after all, and these rude men have always respected and appreciated him. So Wang Feng didn't care and just left them like this, at least take them to their home planet to talk about it. After Wang Feng operated the console, he handed Lu Qiang a remote control with buttons, then whispered a few words to Lu Qiang before walking back again. Wang Feng just heard that there were outsiders. Wang Feng knew without even thinking that these people must be Nicholas and Liana from Zizhu continent. Unexpectedly, they also came to Dongzhou continent to look for him. However, now Wang Feng doesn't know what Nicholas and the others think, so he is not ready to drive the battleship back. Arriving in front of the leader of the Kali tribe, Wang Feng said with a smile. I hope that regarding the base, I can just take a few people there. The battleship will stay here and the big guy on the lift can control it. You can ask your people to start installing the light transmitter. If you have anything, you can ask this big man. Big man. Please cooperate with your Kali friends. Wang Feng turned around and shouted to Lu Qiang, then waved to Meng Fei and Lu Wanting. Lao Meng. You and Ting Ting take a few people to study how the light transmitter operates. It's best to ask more carefully. He. After hearing what Wang Feng said, the leader of the Kali tribe smiled. It doesn't matter. When the time comes, we will leave the detailed information to you. Moreover, if you kill the 3 of them, you will know a lot about this light teleporter. They will always follow you anyway. If you don't understand anything, just ask them. Wang Feng nodded, and then looked at Shami San Xiao. The three of you will follow me to the Hope Base in a moment. You are here to help me identify some people. The three boys nodded together. Based on their understanding of Wang Feng, they naturally knew that the ones they wanted to identify were naturally those who pushed the military soul monument. But Wang Feng's purpose is of course more than that. The leader of the Kali tribe said that these three guys are the real hope of their Kali tribe. With them, the Yanhuang ship will have no problems. The leader of the Kali tribe, as an old ghost, of course understood that Wang Feng did not completely trust him, but he did not tell the truth. At least Wang Feng found an excuse, which allowed both parties to continue to appear harmonious. Number 7. Come with me too. I see you have been holding it in for a long time, let me let it out. Afterwards, Wang Feng nodded to the leader of the Kali tribe, and then walked out of the control hall, preparing to go to the Hope Base to meet those old friends whom he hadn't seen for a long time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 746. Seeing Wang Feng walk out, Number 7 and Shalumi Sangxiao also hurriedly followed him out. When passing by the leader of the Kali tribe, the leader of the Kali tribe nodded to Shalumi Sangxiao. Although Shalumi Sangxiao still looked like children, they were still adults, but they became like this because of other reasons. Now that he knew that he could enter the primordial star, the leader of the Kali tribe was naturally looking forward to it. He knew that Shalumi Sangxiao would immediately return to his original appearance as long as he entered the primordial star, and his strength would also explode again. Wang Feng took Number 7 and Shalumi Sangxiao into a small fighter plane, and then flew out of the Yanhuang in the fighter plane and flew towards the direction of the Dongzhou continent. Although he left the Yanhuang, Wang Feng didn't have to worry about the Yanhuang at all. Before leaving, he had set it up and handed the remote control to Lu Qiang. Although Lu Wanting was there, Lu Qiang was the most stable. Wang Feng set up two insurances. One is the automatic defense system. Once the hull of the Yanhuang is attacked, the Yanhuang will immediately raise the energy shield and close all internal channels. The other one is the remote control given to Lu Qiang. As long as there is any movement on the Yanhuang side, Lu Qiang just needs to press the button on the remote control. Wang Feng will immediately know that something is wrong with the Yanhuang side, and the shield of the Yanhuang will also be activated immediately, and all the channels in the Yanhuang will be closed. At that time, all creatures in the Yanhuang that are not human will be attacked. With the current energy reserves of the Yanhuang, even if the Kali tribe wants to attack, I am afraid that they will not be able to break the energy shield of the Yanhuang without continuous attacks for 10 days and half a month. However, once the button is pressed, all the Kali people in the Yanhuang will definitely be killed. The weapons carried on the space battleship, even for the internal ones, are definitely not comparable to human weapons. Therefore, Wang Feng handed this right directly to Lu Qiang, who was careful and prudent. He would definitely not press that button because of a misunderstanding. After leaving the Yanhuang, Wang Feng and his team crossed the sea and arrived at Jianguan town in just 10 minutes. The speed of the small fighter was indeed quite powerful. It was estimated that it would not take much time to circle the planet. Wang Feng arrived at Jianguan town first. Looking down, the remains of the pine tree that had already died were still in Jianguan town. Looking at the broken and fallen pine, Wang Feng could not help but feel sad. At the beginning, when he first saw Xiao Song scared him enough. When he carried it back, he was nervous all the way, fearing that this gentleman would not be smooth and directly send a few pine needles to him. But now, Xiaosong's dry body seems to be smaller than when he first saw it. I just don't know if the pine tree will also have to go through the same pain if it dies at the hands of the devourer. And seeing the little pine, Wang Feng naturally thought of the Little Pine's master, instructor Li Yingning. At the beginning, Wang Feng directly encountered this tree and one person, but now the tree is dead and the person is missing. As for the whereabouts of Li Yingning, Wang Feng is actually just guessing, but whether his guess is true or not, I am afraid that only then can we know. Shaking his head vigorously, leaving the past behind, Wang Feng continued to fly the fighter plane towards the Green Water Garden. The leader of the Kali tribe was right. Now the entire Hope Base has become farmland. Hope Base is now a super large farm. Of course, there are not so many zombies now, so the growth of crops is not as fast as before, but such a large piece of farmland can feed the people in the Hope Base without any problem. If the cosmic ghost does not come to this planet again, then this planet is estimated to become a home for humans again in 200 or 300 years. Having been away from the planet for too long, looking at the dark and deep universe all day, Wang Feng suddenly saw this large area of lush green, and he seemed to feel much more relaxed. However, when he thought of the military soul monument being knocked down, Wang Feng's heart was inexplicably angry. This kind of anger could not be eliminated by any scenery. The small fighter flew silently into Ganlin County and came to the sky above the Bishui Garden. Along the way, many survivors who saw this small fighter thought that the Devourer had come, because they had seen the Devourer's small fighter. But they had never seen this kind of fighter of humans, and in a panic, they had no ability to distinguish whether this small fighter came from the Devourer or Wang Feng and his team. It seemed that it was not a good thing for these survivors who were farming. However, the survivors of the Zizhu continent who were supervising them on the side, waved the whip in their hands, and soon let them return to their workplace again and continue their work. The arrival of Wang Feng's small fighter plane naturally alarmed the people in the Green Water Garden. When Wang Feng arrived at the Green Water Garden, dozens of people had already walked out of the Green Water Garden clubhouse and came to the entrance of the Green Water Garden, looking up at the fighter plane. Wang Feng looked down and found that the people below were, as he had guessed, Nicholas, Liana, and Oscar. In fact, the only ones who knew Wang Feng and looked very different from Wang Feng and the others were these guys from Zizhu continent. Inovik and the others from Bizhu continent have already boarded the Yanhuang battleship. Seeing his acquaintance, Wang Feng directly landed the small fighter plane. Small fighters are different from the planes on their planet. Most of their planes are jets, which require long runways for takeoff and landing. Only helicopters using propellers can take off and land straight up and down without a runway. Although Wang Feng's small fighter plane has no propeller, it can still take off and land straight up and down, and it makes almost no sound. However, this small fighter cannot hover directly in mid-air like a space battleship. In fact, it's not impossible, but in that state, energy needs to be continuously consumed. As for the space battleship, it hovers in mid-air without any consumption. As for whether it uses magnetism or some other principle, Wang Feng doesn't understand. Anyway, as long as you know it can do this, Wang Feng won't care about how it does it. Parking the small fighter plane on the ground, Wang Feng was the first to jump out of the fighter plane. Ha 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 ha. Feng. It's really you. Nicholas laughed and rushed forward and gave Wang Feng a fierce bear hug. After Wang Feng revealed his alliance with Chris, Nicholas and the others had become somewhat alienated from Wang Feng. But after experiencing the Devourer incident, Nicholas and the others finally figured it out. If Wang Feng had not formed an alliance with Chris, but had followed their ideas and used the weaknesses of the Dark Bloodthirsty to kill them all, then after the Devourers arrived, without the restraint of the Dark Bloodthirsty, they must have been caught by those Devourers long ago, and it would be impossible to survive until now. Even in the later stage, if Wang Feng and the others hadn't fought against the Devourers and killed the leaders of the Devourers, they would have died long ago. They have verified the power of the Devourer with their own eyes. Even the Dark Devourer is not their opponent, let alone them. After arriving here, Nicholas asked several survivors of the Hope Base in detail about the situation before Wang Feng and the others left. Combined with the comparison of time, Nicholas can certainly imagine that when the Devourer killed the Dark Bloodthirsty, they were already feeling desperate. It was Wang Feng and the others who saved him. If they hadn't killed the Devourer leaders, it would have been impossible for the Devourers on the Western continent to retreat. And if the Devourers don't retreat, it's just a matter of time to find them. After knowing the truth, Nicholas and Liana certainly felt even more guilty. However, they heard about Wang Feng's departure, and they also knew that they now owned 2 space battleships, and they even knew that more powerful enemies might come to this planet in the future. Therefore, after Nicholas, Liana, Oscar and others discussed, the large farmland that Wang Feng had seen before appeared. Liana thought that if the enemy was strong, then the only option would be to flee. If she abandoned her own planet and fled, what would she need most? Food, water, and fuel. They couldn't help with fuel. They didn't even know whether the space battleship burned coal or gasoline, so of course they couldn't prepare. So, they started with food and started storing food. Wind. Are you okay? Nicholas looked at Wang Feng and asked with some guilt in his heart. Liana also rushed up and hugged Wang Feng, followed by Oscar and several other people Wang Feng also knew. I can still do it. But my battleship is ruined. Wang Feng smiled bitterly and shook his head. I didn't expect that the space ghost was so powerful. Both of our battleships perished with them. In the end, only me and 4 guys were left, and we escaped before the battleship exploded. What about the space ghost fleet? One person asked. It's okay. They have been eliminated, and our planet is completely safe. Wang Feng said somewhat proudly. Although we lost 2 space battleships, 2 million space fighters, and all the fighters we hoped to have in the base. However, we succeeded in annihilating all the space ghost fleet. At least, they will not be able to find our planet within a few hundred years. Having said this, Wang Feng closed his mouth and looked at Nicholas with a smile. The former owners of Hope Base have returned with news that the planet is completely safe, and only 5 of them are left. At this time, Nicholas, Liana, how will you choose? Return the base of Hope? Still. This is a torture of human nature. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 747. After hearing Wang Feng's words, Sang Xiao and Number 7 were stunned, and then they quickly pretended to be listless, as if they had lost the battle. After all, Wang Feng just said that his 2 warships were completely destroyed and all the others were killed. It was a bit unreasonable for them to not say anything. After hearing Wang Feng's words, the people on Nicholas' side were all stunned, and then Nicholas and Liana became gloomy. Although they had basically never seen the soldiers of the Hope Base, as friends of Wang Feng, they could empathize with him. Although Wang Feng was still smiling, the sadness in his eyes could not be concealed. Although Wang Feng was lying, the sadness in his eyes was real. After all, in that air battle, they did lose more than 2 million fighters out of more than 1 million fighters. More than 2 million fighters, just like this, left themselves in space forever, and even their bones could not be found. All they can leave in this world is a name and their glorious past. Thinking of the name, Wang Feng's heart ached again. He looked at the place where the military soul monument was originally erected. Wind. Liana, Nicholas, and Oscar came up together and patted his shoulder gently. You should not be sad for those warriors, you should be proud of them. Nicholas looked into Wang Feng's eyes and said seriously. They are warriors, real warriors. They don't need tears or pity. They just need us to remember their names and their glory. That's right. We should remember it. Wang Feng still looked at the place where the military soul monument was erected and said. Where is it? Nicholas asked. He didn't know much about the military soul monument. Although he heard that there was a huge stone tablet there before, he didn't ask carefully. There used to be a tall stone tablet, called the Military Soul Tablet. There were many names engraved on it, and each name represented the soldiers who died on the battlefield for this base. Wang Feng answered slowly. And now, it was actually pushed down and smashed by those who were guarded by these dead soldiers. I really want to know what these people were thinking at the time. Did they think of themselves as a person? Everyone around was stunned. They couldn't imagine that what those people had pushed down and smashed before was actually a monument to commemorate the soldiers who died in the war to protect this base. After being stunned for a moment, Nicholas was furious. After all, this kind of thing, no matter where it was, would never be accepted. Especially, for those of them who need to charge into battle and often participate in battles, such people are even more unforgivable. You go and gather all those people. Nicholas turned around and commanded the people behind him, preparing to let them catch all the survivors of the Hope base. But just halfway through, he realized that he hoped the base belonged to Wang Feng, and now, he has returned. Feng. Nicholas held back what he was about to say, then turned around, looked at Wang Feng and asked. Do you want to catch all those guys? Since he held back half of the sentence, Nicholas almost couldn't breathe. He spoke incoherently. Seeing the attitude expressed by Nicholas, Liana, and Oscar, as well as several other people who had a good relationship with Wang Feng, did not react at all. Because they thought it was natural. Thinking back to when they were on the Western continent, on their territory, Nicholas and Liana also followed Wang Feng's lead. Although the two sides were a little unhappy because of Chris's matter later, it was not really put on the table after all. And after the Devourer incident, they now know that Wang Feng left those dark Devourers to help them contain the Devourer and to protect them. Therefore, the previous unpleasantness had long since disappeared, and now Nicholas naturally returned to the relationship with Wang Feng before. However, many of the people behind Nicholas frowned after seeing Nicholas' performance. But now they couldn't say anything, just whispered behind. Seeing the attitudes of Nicholas, Liana, Oscar, and others, Wang Feng felt a little better. Finally, these people have not changed, and have not changed their attitude towards him because there are only 5 people left on his side. About to leave, Wang Feng hopes that the more people like this, the better. In the future, when entering the original star, it is still unknown what situation will be encountered. The more partners around him, the more advantages he will have. Well, call them all over. I will let those who personally do it and order the push to the Military Soul Monument know the price of ungratefulness. Wang Feng looked at Nicholas and smiled, his eyes full of relief. Okay. Did you hear what Feng said? Go quickly. Find all those guys. After receiving Wang Feng's order, Nicholas turned around and shouted loudly. Nicholas! They are still working. If we call them over now, won't we stop working? One person shouted directly at Nicholas. Yes. Why don't we call them over after work in the evening? Calling them over now will delay our stockpiling of food. As soon as this person finished speaking, someone else echoed. Bah! Go if I tell you to. Stockpile food. Stockpile food is also for Feng and the others. Before Nicholas could speak, Liana got angry first. Now they have all died in order to protect this planet. What do we need so much food for? Ah! For them. If we give them all, what will we eat? Yes. Besides, these foods are all grown by people we asked. Why should we just pick them up? Then wouldn't our hard work be in vain? Liana's words immediately caused a bigger commotion among the crowd. Bullshit. Oscar also jumped out at this time. Shut up the humming mouth. The people belong to Hope Base, the land belongs to Hope Base, and the seeds also belong to Hope Base. What the hum are you working so hard for? A bunch of bastards. If there was no wind, we would have become food for the devourer by now. Besides, how did you get your current strength? How did you become an awakener? Rely on yourself? If there is no wind, you are still a humming enhancer. Do you have the right to talk here? If you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, get out of here right now. Get out of Hope Base. Oscar's scolding seemed to have intimidated those people, and the voices below disappeared in an instant. They looked at each other, not knowing whether they should obey the order or... Okay, okay. At this time, a middle-aged man with yellow curly hair stood up and said loudly. It's already afternoon, and it won't take much time. Let's call all those people over. Humph. Dick Weber, that bastard, jumped out to pretend to be a good guy again. I hate him the most. Nicholas muttered in a low voice. Wang Feng frowned. It seems that the survivors in the Western continent are not a monolithic group. What the leader of the Kali tribe said is true. As long as there are intelligent creatures, there will be fighting, regardless of race, strength, and weakness. After hearing Dick Weber's words, those people looked at each other, and then began to turn around and leave to execute Nicholas's orders. As for Wang Feng, Nicholas, and others, they walked directly into the club. It is not so easy to gather nearly 20 million people, and naturally it cannot be completed in a short time. Wang Feng didn't care about the fighter plane. Anyway, no one could fly this fighter plane except him. Wang Feng took number 7 and number 3 and went straight into the Bishui garden. Wang Feng was very familiar with this place. Although he had been away for nearly a year, this was the end of the world after all, and there was no change in the Bishui garden. Even the protective plates installed by Lu Wanting on each residential building to prevent mutant insects were still there. Nicholas, Liana, and others followed behind Wang Feng. When passing the square in front of the club, Wang Feng stopped and looked at the willow tree planted in the center of the square. Because this guy was planted in the Bishui garden, he escaped a disaster and was not killed by the devourer like Xiao Song. The willow tree seemed to have discovered that Wang Feng had returned, and its branches and leaves swayed quickly, as if to greet Wang Feng. Hee hee. Wang Feng smiled lightly and turned to walk towards the willow tree. Feng. Be careful. Seeing that Wang Feng was actually going to the willow tree, Nicholas, Liana, and several other people all screamed. This willow tree caused them some trouble. When they first entered the Bishui community and looked for Wang Feng, a survivor from the Western continent accidentally walked under the willow tree. As a result, the willow tree directly covered him with its branches and leaves. When the branches and leaves spread out, the guy had disappeared without a trace, not even a trace was left. After knowing that this willow tree was aggressive, they wanted to kill it. To deal with trees, using fire should be a good choice. So, Nicholas and his team organized hundreds of people, each of whom picked up a torch and brought kerosene, ready to burn the willow tree. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 748. But what Nicholas and the others didn't expect was that the people holding torches had just arrived at the edge of the square and were not ready to approach the willow tree. Hundreds of thousands of bees suddenly flew out from the willow trees, and each of these bees was so scary that they were almost the size of a chicken. Moreover, after these bees flew out, they pointed their butts directly at the crowd and fired a large number of needles. All those holding torches were shot with needles, and their torches fell to the ground. A few who reacted quickly threw the oil cans and torches in their hands towards the willow tree, but they were directly covered by the honey dropped by the bees from the tree, and were immediately extinguished. When the flames went out, the branches of the willow tree drooped down again, absorbing all the honey on the ground. The cooperation between the bees and the willow tree was simply perfect. Nicholas and others looked at the strange scene in front of them with their mouths open, feeling a little incredible. In their Zizhu continent, due to the existence of the Dark Devourer, mutant beasts and mutant insects have not developed. So Nicholas and the others have never seen the power of these mutated creatures. Nicholas breathed a sigh of relief as he examined the survivors who had been shot. The men were attacked for nothing more than their arms holding torches or cans of kerosene. Although it was red and swollen and looked a bit scary, these injuries were obviously not fatal to the awakened person. Even the arm that was attacked could recover in a few days. Of course, this is not because those bees cannot kill them, but because Wang Feng once said that they are not allowed to kill humans. As for the unlucky guy at the beginning, it was because Willow couldn't tell whether he was a human or not. Because these guys are from Zizhu continent, they are all Caucasian, relatively tall, blonde, and have heavy golden body hair. In addition, they had fought with the people in the Hope Base and killed some survivors of the Hope Base, so Willow thought they were other creatures coming to invade the Hope Base. However, after eating the unlucky guy, Willow suddenly discovered that this guy was no different from those he had eaten before. In other words, they are also human beings, so naturally they cannot be attacked. When it comes to keeping promises, other creatures obviously do much better than humans. Therefore, even if Nicholas and the others obviously wanted to attack the willow tree and burn it down later, the willow tree and the mutant bee swarm had no intention of killing these people. It's just that although they don't kill people, they can't just sit back and let these humans kill them, so there was the scene at the beginning. What should I do? Nicholas asked, looking at Liana. These bees, did they shoot out their tail needles just now? Liana did not answer Nicholas, but looked strangely at the mutated bee swarm that was still flying in the air after shooting the tail needle. Wouldn't bees die after losing their tail needles? How come these guys are still alive? Liana. Nicholas sighed. This is a mutated bee. Of course it cannot be explained by the knowledge we have before. Have you ever seen a bee as big as a chicken? That's true. Liana nodded, then frowned, and said. Why would Feng let such a creature that attacks people stay here? Isn't this his headquarters? I don't know, maybe, well. I don't know. Nicholas answered that he originally wanted to say that maybe Wang Feng could not kill these mutated creatures, but after thinking about it carefully, it seemed that there was nothing Wang Feng could not do, so he finally answered I don't know. Get them all back. After watching for a while, Liana seemed to understand somewhat, so she shouted to the people in front. Everyone didn't understand what Liana meant, but they all stepped back. After they retreated, the mutated swarms flying in the air returned to the hive one after another and disappeared among the dense branches and leaves of the willow tree. I think they attack us because we want to attack them. Liana saw the situation and made her own judgment. Moreover, they don't seem to want to kill. Look at the wounds on these people. The tail spines that penetrated their arms are quite sharp and can directly penetrate their arm bones. Looking at it this way, if they wanted to shoot through our heads, it wouldn't take much effort, especially since the swarm is so large. Liana pointed to the swarm of bees in the sky that covered the sky and said. If they want to kill us, they can shoot a volley at our heads, and there may not be any of us left now. So, as long as we don't attack them, we should be able to get along with them in peace. Could it be that Feng and the others did this before? Nicholas guessed. Can't we just find one of their people and ask? Why are you guessing? Oscar said. Yes. Nicholas slapped his head, and then immediately asked someone to bring a few survivors from the East continent. At this time, the survivors of Dongzhou continent were frightened out of their wits by Nicholas and the others' powerful strength, and naturally they had something to say. It's just a pity that the people who stayed behind were not qualified to enter the Green Water Garden, so they naturally didn't know the origin of this willow tree. This willow tree was captured by Wang Feng when he was moving the level 5 turtle, and then brought back. It can be said that this willow tree is quite old in the Hope Base. Even Meng Fei and his friends joined the Hope Base earlier than this willow tree. These survivors, after occupying the Green Water Garden, also suffered a great loss here at this willow tree, but fortunately they all looked similar to Wang Feng and his friends. So the willow tree and the mutant bee colony did not start a killing spree. After these people experimented several times and found that they could not deal with this willow tree at all, these people finally came up with a wonderful way to deal with the willow tree: go around it. Damn it! I can't afford to provoke me, can't I hide? Moreover, they also found that as long as they were not provoked, they would not take the initiative to attack. Originally, the willow and bee colony were responsible for protecting the green water garden. However, when the Devourer army attacked, Duan Lei knew that the willow and bees had no effect on the Devourer, so he ordered them not to attack without orders. Of course, when Duan Lei gave the order, he did not prohibit them from counter-attacking the creatures that attacked him. Therefore, Nicholas and his team were able to successfully capture the green water garden. Otherwise, the moment they stepped into the green water garden, they would be hit by the willow and bees. Although the willow tree now looks like its branches and leaves cannot cover the entire green water garden, this is because it has not entered the combat state at this time. If the war really comes, the body of the willow tree can directly surge and directly cover the entire green water garden, and even the coverage range can exceed about 1 kilometer. It is precisely because of this that the information about the willow tree that Nicholas got from the survivors of the East Continent is basically the same as Liana's guess. In fact, to put it simply, there are only 4 words: don't mess with them. Therefore, in the following time, Nicholas and his friends learned to stay away from the willow tree, and the willow tree and the bee colony did not actively attack anyone. So gradually, the people living in the Bishui garden had already forgotten about the willow tree. But now that they saw Wang Feng walking towards the willow tree, they naturally remembered it immediately, and they all reminded Wang Feng loudly. However, Wang Feng ignored them. He did not even turn his head, but just stretched out his right arm, waved it gently, and made a gesture to reassure them. Then, Wang Feng walked straight towards the willow tree without stopping. Just when Wang Feng was about to enter the range covered by the willow tree, several bees suddenly flew out of the tree. These bees were obviously much larger than the bees that attacked Nicholas and his friends before. If those bees were as big as chickens, then the bees that flew out this time were almost as big as wild geese. It's over. Nicholas and his friends closed their eyes. They now knew that these bees did not kill people, but such a big bee. It is definitely not something worth remembering if they are hit by its tail stinger. However, after waiting for a while, they did not hear the expected screams, so they all opened their eyes and looked. Is this a ghost? The scene in front of them made Nicholas and the others almost want to die. Wang Feng was sitting on a branch of the willow tree at this time, holding a large piece of honey in his hand, tasting it constantly. Damn, they are all human, why is there such a big difference? Nicholas and the others wanted to cry but had no tears. However, at this time, Oscar suddenly had an idea. He looked at Wang Feng eating honey and suddenly remembered that he seemed to have heard of humans being raised by other creatures. Now watching Wang Feng eating honey, he couldn't help but think, was Wang Feng raised by these bees with honey? So Oscar looked back at Nicholas and Liana and asked, is Feng raised by bees? However, Oscar suddenly forgot how to say the common language of bees at this time, so he used his own mother tongue instead. So, his sentence became, could it be that Feng was raised by a bee? Bang! As soon as Oscar finished speaking, a huge piece of honey hit him on the head. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 749. Who are you calling idiots? This piece of honey was of course thrown by Wang Feng. He was eating the honey happily when he suddenly heard Oscar dare to scold him. Of course, he couldn't bear this, so he decisively threw the honey he was eating at Oscar's head. It is said that the honey brewed by this mutated bee is really powerful and can actually condense into a solid form. It can be used as a snack when nothing happens, and it can be used as a brick in critical moments. It is really a must-have artifact for home travel. I didn't curse. Oscar, who was hit inexplicably, got up from the ground and looked at Wang Feng with an aggrieved face. Fortunately, he was an awakener, and Wang Feng did not use his full strength this time. So he just got beaten up because he wasn't careful. Maybe it was because he was hit on the head, so Oscar's IQ dropped a bit, and until now he still hasn't realized why he was beaten. However, Nicholas and the others had already reacted. They were all familiar with common language, so they naturally thought of the meaning of those 3 words. Seeing Nicholas and the others looking at him with suppressed laughter, Oscar felt even more wronged. Well. Nicholas, who was about to hold back his internal injuries, stepped forward and patted Oscar on the shoulder, and then said, "Oscar, if what you just said were in universal language, do you think you should be beaten?" Oscar was stunned for a moment, and then he repeated what he had just said in his mind. Then, Oscar's face suddenly turned red and blue. This is not called swearing, so what is it? At this time, after throwing out the honey, Wang Feng had already stood up and entered the huge hive on the willow tree. When he first approached the willow tree, Wang Feng was still in trouble. Before, he could communicate with willow trees, bees, and even all mutant creatures, but was it through the weapon spirit of Apocalypse? Now, Apocalypse has awakened and become Xianyuan sword, and Apostle John, the weapon spirit, has also disappeared. So Wang Feng is now unable to communicate with any creature other than humans. However, just after Wang Feng approached the willow tree, a wave of life energy suddenly came from the willow tree. Because the willow tree naturally doesn't know the changes in Wang Feng. It communicated with Wang Feng in this way before, and it naturally does the same now. Wang Feng, who received this wave of life energy, was suddenly startled. He found that he could actually understand the meaning of this wave from the willow tree. Could it be that after losing the weapon spirit, I can still communicate with other creatures? Wang Feng couldn't help but think that now he could understand what Lu Shu meant, but how should he convey what he wanted to say to Lu Shu? "Dong Huang, how do I communicate with this willow tree, do you know?" After thinking about it, Wang Feng remembered Dong Huang Tai in Xianyuan sword. "Stupid boy." Dong Huang Tai said with some disdain. "How you talk to me is how you talk to Willow." Wang Feng was stunned. He and Dong Huang Tai were communicating with each other. All he had to do was focus his consciousness on the location of Dong Huang Tai. Is that so? Wang Feng thought in his heart, then concentrated his consciousness, looked at the willow tree in front of him, and then asked in his consciousness. "Did you hear what I said? Did you hear that? What's wrong?" Wang Feng actually received a somewhat surprised answer from Lu Shu. "Huh?" Wang Feng was shocked. Why is it so simple? It's not that simple. Dong Huang Tai's voice sounded again. If it were other people, they would not be able to communicate with other creatures using this method. Don't even think about it. If it's really that simple, why can you hear a dog barking but not understand what it means? Each creature has its own specific language. Even humans of different races will not be able to understand what they say. You can now communicate with any living creature without any obstacles. That's because of the energy of chaos you absorbed. The energy of chaos is the source of all things. On the original star, there are so many biological races, each with a different language. How do they communicate? They just talk directly and the other person can understand what the other person means. Because the energy of chaos is the source of all living things, it is also the most fundamental and communicates directly through the soul. Anyway, you don't understand such a profound thing. All you need to know is that you now have the energy of chaos. As long as you use the method just now, you can communicate with any living creature. After Dong Huangtai explained a few words casually as usual, he fell silent again. However, Wang Feng has long been accustomed to this old man's style, and he really has no interest in studying the mystery of it. What the old man said is right, as long as you know that you can communicate with other creatures at will, it doesn't matter whether you know the rest or not. Little B. Long time no see. It seems like you are doing well recently, right? Wang Feng walked into the hive and said to the bees. Master, are you leaving? Bees' answer surprised Wang Feng. How did this guy know? But if you think about it carefully, the mutant queen bee already has a very high level of sanity. During this period, all the changes in the hope base have been seen by it, so it is not difficult to know this. Well, I really have to leave. Wang Feng nodded and said. Why? Asked the mutant queen. Because, this planet may be invaded by a powerful enemy. My current strength cannot resist them. I can only leave first and avoid them. After Wang Feng thought for a while, he decided to tell the truth. Master, will you come back? The queen asked again. Probably not. Wang Feng helplessly replied that once he leaves this planet, he will probably never come back. What's more, after he leaves, this planet may be destroyed. Master, can you take me away too? I want to follow the master. The queen bee's words surprised Wang Feng, but Wang Feng felt relieved when he thought that some creatures seemed to have a very keen premonition of the coming danger. However, Wang Feng was in a bit of a dilemma. The mutant queen was easier to deal with and could be moved directly to the space battleship. But the willow tree, although the willow tree can be shrunk, plants generally need photosynthesis. There is no place for it to find sunlight in the battleship. Can plants survive without sunlight? And if you want to take away the mutated hive, the natural willow tree will follow you. Wang Feng hesitated for a while, and then said. Yes. However, we will live in the space battleship for a long time in the future. The only food you can get is life energy. If you can accept this, I can take you away. Willow. Do you want to leave? If you want to leave, you may have to shrink your body for a long time. If you want to stretch, you need to go to a place with no light at all. Wang Feng said to the willow tree again. Even your usual living environment is in the universe, well. It's a place without sunlight, and you are the same. The only food you can get is life energy. Can you be able to accept it? Sure. Willow's answer was very refreshing. Master, have you forgotten? I am just a tree. If it is just for survival, as long as there is water, I can survive. As for stretching, I don't need it. To me, body size is just a form of expression to maintain combat effectiveness. And the mutated bee can directly convert life energy into honey. In other words, it doesn't matter what environment it is in. Okay. Since that's the case, then when I leave, I will take you with me. Before that, you should stay here now. After all, the environment here is better. Wang Feng thought for a while and finally agreed. He actually wanted to see that bees and willow trees were not intelligent creatures before, that is to say, they did not come from the original star. What changes will happen when they reach the original star? As for whether they can withstand the energy of chaos, it is easy to say. When entering the original star, Wang Feng will receive them all into the space of Xianyuan sword. After fully awakening, the space of Xianyuan sword can accommodate any living body. Even if all the humans on this planet are put into the space of Xianyuan sword, that space can completely accommodate it. However, this is okay as an emergency. If it goes on for a long time, the people inside may not be able to bear it. It's not about oxygen. After integrating the energy of chaos and the core of life, there is no need to worry about the survival of living creatures in the space. However, there is no light in the space of Xian Yuan's sword, and Wang Feng can directly sense the items inside with his own consciousness. It was absolute darkness, and even Wang Feng, who had the sky eye, could not see anything in it. Moreover, there is no sound in his space, it is a real dark room. Compared with the closed environment that Wang Feng found in the underwater passage, it was much more terrifying. It is estimated that plants like willows will not have any impact inside. As for the mutated queen bee, she has so many subordinates who can communicate with each other through consciousness. It should be no problem to chat and kill time. Wind. At this moment, Nicholas's voice came. He shouted loudly because he did not dare to approach the willow tree. Those people gathered in the square outside. I am coming. Wang Feng replied loudly, with murderous intent in his eyes, prepare to atone for your sins. Bastards. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 750. Okay. You guys just wait here first, I'll take you with me when I leave. Wang Feng said to Willow and the mutant queen bee, then turned around and prepared to walk out of the hive to meet those bastards who not only didn't know how to be grateful, but also repaid kindness with resentment. However, just after turning around, Wang Feng stopped again. He looked back at the queen bee and said to her with his consciousness, come to the space I mentioned and see if you can survive there for a long time. As he said that, Wang Feng put his hand on the queen bee, and then his consciousness moved, and he directly put the huge queen bee into the space of Xian Yuan's sword. The mutant queen bee did not resist at all, and let Wang Feng put herself into the space of Xian Yuan's sword. The space that the mutant queen bee entered was specially reserved by Wang Feng for the mutant queen bee and Willow, and it was just diagonally away from Dong Huangtai. In this way, Dong Huangtai would not know the existence of the mutant queen bee. After all, Dong Huangtai does not exist as the spirit of Xian Yuan's sword. He is just a resident. Strictly speaking, he is similar to the mutant queen bee. Although Xian Yuan's sword was brought out by Dong Huangtai before, Wang Feng once recognized Tiankai as his master, and finally used the huge life energy of the mother nest to completely integrate Xian Yuan's sword. So now Dong Huangtai has no ability to control Xian Yuan's sword at all, and it is impossible for him to feel the changes in the space of Xian Yuan's sword like the spirit of the weapon. Wang Feng only let the mutant queen bee stay in the Xian Yuan sword space for more than 10 seconds, and then released the queen bee. Okay. That space, let's call it Xian Yuan space, it's probably like this, think about it first, if you are only in this space, can you survive for a long time? Also, tell the willow tree about the situation in the space and see if it can survive for a long time in it. I'll go out to deal with some things first, and come back to see you when I have time. After saying that, Wang Feng walked out of the hive directly. He just put the queen bee into the Xian Yuan space and let the queen bee feel the situation in the Xian Yuan space. Because the mutant queen bee is in the hive, and the hive is completely blocked by the dense branches and leaves of the willow tree, so this process cannot be seen from the outside. As for the willow tree, Wang Feng can also put it directly into the Xian Yuan space, but in that case, the movement will be a bit too big. Although the willow tree has not yet expanded to its maximum size, it is also at the level of a towering tree. Before the end of the world, it was definitely a 1,000-year-old tree. Such a big tree disappeared in an instant and then reappeared again. The effect might be a bit scary. Wang Feng still had a lot of things to do in the Hope Base, so he didn't want to reveal too much now. Anyway, if the willow tree couldn't stand the darkness in Xian Yuan space, at most it could be transplanted into the Yanhuang space battleship, which wouldn't be too much trouble. After walking out of the hive and jumping off the willow tree, Wang Feng walked towards Nicholas who was waiting for him, and then the two walked towards the gate of the Green Water Garden together. And number 7 immediately followed behind the two. As for the 3 children, they were used to hiding in the crowd, so they were gone at this time. Liana and Oscar had already gone there first, and only Nicholas was waiting for Wang Feng here. The two soon came to the gate of the Green Water Garden. At this time, the large square outside the gate was already crowded with people. Now, in the Hope Base, except for Hong and a few people who stayed behind in the clubhouse to watch the surveillance video, all the survivors were gathered here, and even the Black Dragon Bridge was not guarded by anyone. After so many disasters, there are very few humans left on this planet, especially after the Devourer is about to come. Even mutants and zombies are basically extinct. So, they just disconnected the Black Dragon Bridge and ignored it. Anyway, there are surveillance cameras over there, and if there are creatures passing through the Black Dragon Bridge, the people who stayed behind in the clubhouse will find it. Seeing Wang Feng, the original survivors of the Hope Base suddenly became agitated, but their reactions were not all the same. "Chief, save us, we are willing to give up our source of power, we want to go with you." "Yes. Chief. Take us away. We were wrong, we shouldn't be selfish, we will always follow the chief in the future." "Chief. You must save us, these foreigners treat us as slaves, it's too much." "Chief. Brother Feng. Boss. Please take us away. We promise to be loyal in the future." After seeing Wang Feng, a large group of survivors of the Hope Base immediately begged Wang Feng. These people are all survivors who did not participate in the military Soul Monument incident. They are just a group of ordinary survivors who are like fence-sitters. When the Hope Base said that it needed the source of power, others said, "Don't. It must be a good thing, otherwise what are they going to do?" Saying that it is useless is just deceiving us, asking us to send them the source of power. Just by listening to the name, you know that this thing must be very good. They believed it, so they chose to remain silent. When Hope Base gathered people to bid farewell to the soldiers who died defending Hope Base and protecting them, they heard someone say, "Hey! This person is dead, they don't know whether to send him or not, it's better to pull the body here to make fertilizer. Instead of wasting time there, it's better to rest, we still have to work tomorrow." They thought it made sense, so they chose to rest. After Wang Feng left with his men, they continued to hear someone say, "Haha! Now we are free, we grow our own food, it's safe here anyway, it doesn't matter whether there are those people or not." They chose to believe it again, so they began to rejoice, thinking that their lives would be better. Result: without comparison, people will never know how happy they used to be. The Hope Base has a new leader and a new management team, but these people who used to be of the same status as them, these people who complained with them that the tax rate of the Hope Base was too black. After taking office, the first thing they did was to increase the tax rate of the Hope Base directly to the limit that other survivors could bear. Because these people are the survivors who came here from the Tiandu City base before. After taking control of the Hope Base, they directly copied the original management model of Tiandu City. However, now the Bishui Garden has become the inner city of the former Tiandu City, and other places are all outer cities. They ordered the survivors to continue planting, and then left them only enough food to barely fill their stomachs, and took all the rest as taxes. The reason they gave was very sufficient: "We have just taken over the Hope Base, and there is a lot of work to be done. Of course, more resources are needed to build the Hope Base. This is for everyone to seek welfare, so that all members of the Hope Base can live better." They are powerless to resist, because those who resisted were directly suppressed by them with means that were more cruel than the bloody butcher. Lu Feng did kill a lot of people at the beginning, but at least those who Lu Feng killed were all those who took the initiative to come and find fault. Now they kill people just to establish their authority. They take the initiative to come to the door, pull out one or two unlucky people, accuse them of a crime, and then kill them to show their majesty. So they had to swallow their anger, remembering the former Hope Base, while silently carrying out their work. They didn't even dare to complain, because once someone heard them, they would be dragged out and killed to serve as a warning to others. No one wanted to be the chicken that was killed for the monkeys to see. Although being a monkey had no future, at least the monkey was alive. The chicken was dead. Only then did they realize that compared with their current life, the previous hope base was like heaven. They would rather go back to that time, even if they could only leave enough food to survive. At least the hope base at that time would not kill people at will, and they didn't have to be so frightened now. Seeing the survivors of the Tiandu city was like seeing a demon. Then, Nicholas and the others arrived. As for their lives, were they better or worse? None of them were sure. First of all, the death rate dropped sharply. Although the survivors of the Western continent were very strong, they never killed people indiscriminately, and they would not directly chop off a person's head to establish their authority. This is similar to the hope base. However, these Western survivors treated them as slaves. The workload became huge, and if they were lazy, they would be beaten. However, at least after being beaten, they just had to run back to work immediately, and they would not be beaten to death. Of course, there were also unlucky people who were accidentally hit in the vitals and died directly. But these people were directly dragged out and buried, and the guy who beat him to death would not be punished at all. If they saw someone being lazy, they would still whip him directly. Such a life made them miss the era of Wang Feng and Duan Lei more and more, but, Wang Feng and Duan Lei had already left this planet. That era would never come back. Some things, if missed, can never be recovered. There are many opportunities in life that are unique. However, now Wang Feng suddenly appeared, and those leaders of the Western continent seemed to respect him very much. So, these survivors finally saw the dawn of their lives.